I swear, I go on a weekend getaway for a quick vacation, and when I come back, the whole world is falling apart because an Assassin's Creed game, it looks like, was rated adults only, but it also wasn't. It was a mistake, but it also wasn't a mistake because Ubisoft put an adults only rating warning in the presentation that they've now scrubbed from the internet. This story is insane. The whole thing is just freakishly stupid. Just when you think we've figured out what's going on, there's a new twist. So today I'm going to try to explain what went on with this whole Assassin's Creed Mirage adults only rating debacle. And I'm also going to tell you about something I heard from somebody that I'm in contact with who worked on Mirage up until about 2 months ago. They had some insight into what this probably was that is very concerning. So we'll get to that. Make sure to stick it out to the end of the video when I get to it. So just let me just be clear. This is still like sort of up in the air as to what happened, but I'm pretty sure I know what was going on, and I'm going to explain it in this video. Also, I don't have a sponsor or anything for this video. I'm just making it. So if you want to say thank you for these videos being free, I guess, then just pop over, say hi on stream. I'm over on that purple platform whenever I upload these videos. So if you have a minute, drop by after this video, say hi, be like, hey dude, what's up? I just saw the Mirage video. And I'll be like, oh cool dude, that's awesome. Thanks for coming by. It'll be very chill and fun. So come over and say hi. I'd love to see you. So yeah, like I said, all of this sort of started when news sites and publications noticed that on the official Xbox listing for Assassin's Creed Mirage, which went up shortly after the Ubisoft Forward event, there was an adults only rating listed, which is 18 plus, and it said it was rated for intense violence, blood and gore, to be expected, sexual themes, ooh, fun, partial nudity, even more fun, and real gambling, with, of course, in-game purchases. I mean, like, what the hell? What even is this? I immediately, red flags all over the place. I was like, what the hell is going on here? I don't have a red flag. Let me find one. See, red flag, red flag, red flag. Yeah, stupid bit. But the reason this got me so weirded out is because Xbox doesn't allow the sale of adults only games on their platform. So why the hell was this rated adults only on Xbox's platform if they wouldn't even allow you to sell it on their platform? Like, it's weird that this would be here. It doesn't make any sense. And for anybody who is like, oh, well, maybe it's just like a mistake. They hit the wrong button when they put it in. No, like Ubisoft put an adults only rating in their live stream. Right here, 14 minutes, 36 seconds in their official live stream. I verified this myself. I pulled it up and I could actually see it. This is a screen capture from somebody on Reddit. And the reason why I had to use a screenshot is because Ubisoft actually cut out the section of the live stream that had the adults only rating and instead replaced it with this just M for mature rating. So even though it was there up until like about 24 hours after the event, mid-Monday, they just cut it out, even though they showed it live at the event. Again, it's very weird. And naturally, when people saw this, they started freaking out. It was like, holy crap, of course, we were so excited for Mirage. And now it comes out that the game is rated adults only because there's actual gambling with real money in the game. This is horrible. Of course, we shouldn't have been excited, blah, blah, blah. But then Ubisoft came out the following day on Monday and said that it was all a big misunderstanding. Specifically, a spokesperson said, quote, some store pages mistakenly displayed the game for pre-orders with an adults-only ESRB rating, while Assassin's Creed Mirage is still pending in rating. Ubisoft wants to reassure players that no real gambling or loot boxes are present in the game. Okay. And for the record, if anybody's curious as to what the ESRB actually means by real gambling, if you go to their actual website, you can look at all of their ratings and see how they break everything down, including each category based on how they rate things. And you can find the definition of real gambling as they describe it. And it says, quote, players can gamble, including betting or wagering real cash or currency in the game. If that is found in the game, it's an adults only title and you're not allowed to sell it in like any major retailer. You're just screwed basically. So like, what the hell happened? How on earth does this happen? Well, there's a few possibilities. For one, either it really is the greatest and most bafflingly stupid miscommunication between like the game developers and the marketing team. I don't even know how that would happen, because basically what would have to have happened is that an executive or a higher up, like the creative director of Assassin's Creed Mirage, would have to tell the marketing team that the rating they were expecting to get was adults only, somehow mixing that up, or they said M or just put rating pending. And then the marketing team just went AWOL, put an adults only rating, not just in the live show and live stream that they did, but also on the store pages that went live after the event. But then they went even further AWOL and displayed details specifying things that weren't allegedly in the game, such as real gambling, which I guess was just a mix-up. I mean, it's so specific. Games don't just get rated adults only. It's extremely rare, and the last game that was rated adults only was in 2015, 7 years ago. It was a game called Hatred that was really lackluster and was just, I won't go into it because I don't want to get demonetized. You can Google it. We all have that ability. The point is, this isn't something that you just accidentally hit on the drop-down menu for rating options. Like, this is a big oopsie. And the gambling specification is so weird to me to include. I have to wonder, like, somebody had to put that in the description of the game as adults only, which is not something you would have expected for an Assassin's Creed game. The whole thing is just bizarre. That's the point. The whole thing is just stupid and bizarre. So that's the first option. It was just a mind-bogglingly dumb, bungled mess from the marketing team, and multiple people are going to get fired because tons of people signed off on this, and it's just a big stupid oopsie. The other possibility, and the one that I personally find to be more believable, has to do with a little mix-up as to what they should share and what they shouldn't. Also includes some bungled messes from the marketing and the miscommunication between the studio, but it's more logical, I think, than just everybody screwed up all at the same time in a really drastic way. To begin explaining the second possibility, you need to understand something Ubisoft has been doing for the last couple of years, and that's called Ubisoft Quartz. If you're not familiar with this, it's described extremely vaguely, which is how you should immediately notice, hold on, the red flags of how stupid this is. I mean, just this description, what the hell does this mean? Collect, play, and control. Okay, what is Quartz? Ubisoft Quartz is a new experience for our players built upon our vision of creating an ever greater connection between you and the game worlds you love. What? And the more you read, the less it makes sense until you get all the way down and you see this. Digits, which is what they're calling these Ubisoft Quartz elements, are the first Ubisoft NFTs playable in an HD game and stored on a proof-of-stake blockchain, compared to the proof-of-work, blah, 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 protocols, blah, 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 blah. The whole idea is that you can buy cosmetics and items and stuff with real money, and then you can sell and trade it to other people for real money or credits that you can then use on the rest of the marketplace. It's just, I mean, it's NFTs. That's what it's NFTs. And if we go back to the ESRB page, you notice the definition of real gambling is that it includes betting or wagering real cash or currency. The way that they define this in previous games that they've rated is currency being directly tied to a real world currency that you could use out and about at a regular store or something like that. Basically a liquid form of currency, which by most descriptions NFTs would qualify as, because they have a real world value that you could sell and liquidate to go and take elsewhere. Whereas something like, say, those Apex points and credits you get while playing Apex Legends, those you can't cash out for and get money back out of the game. They're stuck in the game, you can't get them back out. Whereas NFTs, in theory, you can liquidate them and get your money back out if you found somebody willing to buy it. And thus far, there haven't really been any Ubisoft games that have really pushed this NFT tech to the limit. We've really not seen any of their games, any of their big games, push this full force. So it would make sense that they would be looking for one of their biggest franchises to bring it out swinging, right? Like Assassin's Creed. Now, one of the other things we know is that Assassin's Creed Mirage was originally planned for this holiday season. It was pushed back into the spring for some unknown reason. But I have a theory that I think explains all of this in one fell swoop. And that is that Ubisoft was preparing to launch the game this fall. They presented its contents to the ESRB to get a provisional rating on the game before they went gold and finalized the rating. When they brought it to the ESRB looked at their NFT system and how you could buy an item and then sell it, or try to grind it up in value to then be able to sell it to make real currency in exchange for it. And they said that constitutes gambling with real currency because you can liquidate it. Therefore, this is real gambling. We would rate it adults only. And Ubisoft, understandably, when I can't blame them. And so Ubisoft, realizing that they would have to redo a ton of work on how they implemented NFTs in this game, they decided to delay it internally to the spring, which they decided to do prior to the game's announcement so that we would never know unless you were following the leaks and the stuff that's been coming out in the last couple of months. But internally, the team and the marketing group know that this game as it stands is adults only because it constitutes real gambling according to the ESRB. So the marketing team got wind of that. They put the adults only rating in the presentation and somehow nobody caught it. It's possible, I've been told by some people, that once the ESRB informs you that, hey, your game is going to be rated X, whenever you show it off, you need to display that tentative rating until it's been changed. So it's possible that they were told by the ESRB, hey, you're looking at an adults only rating, so that's what you need to go with. And they were obligated to include the adults only rating warning in the live show and on the store pages. But it was only after the event went live that they found out they didn't have to do that. I don't know. The point is that at least explains why the adults only rating was floating around the Ubisoft marketing teams and why that seemingly came out of nowhere. It's because it didn't come out of nowhere. It's what the internal teams knew the game was currently looked at being rated. And that contact I referenced at the beginning of the video, who worked on Assassin's Creed Mirage until about 2 months ago, they told me that there was an attempted active implementation of Ubisoft Quartz and the NFT system in the game. In his words, he didn't feel like it was that aggressive. He felt like it was just a way for players to own and trade skins, but that was just his perspective. And it's also possible that even that could constitute real gambling by the ESRB's definitions and rating applications, which I think is great because that means that NFTs almost across the board are outlawed. Like, no big publisher will implement NFTs. If it turns out it means your game is rated adults only, nobody will want to do that because they won't be able to sell it anywhere. But again, I mean, this is mostly just like guesswork. We don't know for certain that this is the case. It's just trying to figure out a reasonable explanation for something that is bizarre and that, as far as I know, has never happened before in gaming history. And that is that a huge multi-billion-dollar company comes out, announces a highly anticipated game, and accidentally says that you can't buy it anywhere, basically, because it's rated adult only for real gambling, which they then turn around and claim is not anywhere in the game, and they have no idea where that came from. But the explanation I just outlined, I think, explains it all quite clearly. If the ESRB considers NFTs as they were implemented in Mirage as gambling, that would explain why they rated it that way, and the marketing team got the mix up and didn't put rating pending on it and leave all that blank. They just decided to plug in what they got from the ESRB provisional rating team and leave it at that. I think that explains why this was going on and what all of this crap is. And it does make me a little concerned for Mirage because it also ties in with the delay that happened internally that was leaked all over the place. It gives me a migraine. It makes me, oh God. And when you consider this with the other realities of Mirage, which is that we haven't actually seen any gameplay, we got these official screenshots, which look both great and horrible at the same time, like how chunky and blocky this model is that Basim is sitting on, and down here it looks like straight out of a mobile game, but then you flash forward to here and it looks a little better, the lighting is better and interesting, and then you go here, this looks really good, straight out of Valhalla or something, and then this looks really good, might be artwork, might be an in-game render, who knows. This looks really good with the face, but I mean, who knows if this is actually in-game or rendered in-game. It's just all over the place. But the fact that we haven't even seen anything of the game itself running actively, it's weird. Again, because this game is supposedly like 6 months out from launch. And up until recently, according to leakers, it was set for release in the next few months. And they aren't showing any gameplay yet. I mean, again, red flag, red flag, red flag. And listen, I don't want to like crap on anybody's parade. I want Mirage to be as great as everybody else. I want my new Assassin's Creed obsession to be fulfilled. I want this game to be great. But when Ubisoft pulls crap like this, I have to be skeptical. And the whole idea of being skeptical is kind of like the new theme on this channel that I'm trying to vocalize a lot. It's just not allowing yourself to be sold on something and be convinced of something until there's adequate evidence of that thing. You don't get sold on Mirage until they give you a reason to think that Mirage is going to be great. In the same way that I was a little underwhelmed by Cyberpunk in 2019 at E3 when I went and saw the game behind closed doors. I came out of it thinking it was really meh. Like, they played it really, really safe. And then it turned out there was a good reason why they played it so safe. It's because the game was a broken mess. And for a game like Mirage, when they don't show any gameplay and they just do the bare minimum, meanwhile, there's like this whole debacle with a rating issue, you gotta raise your skeptical hippo eyes and be like, something weird's going on. Something is off. I mean, as a point of positivity, I suppose, the game is only listed for $50. So they're not doing the PlayStation thing of coming out for $70. They're at least trying to maintain lower expectations, I guess, at least in terms of scale with it. So it doesn't seem like they're coming off super, super greedy, but it does kind of change it when you consider maybe they're only charging $50 because they want more players to jump on it, since they're going to make up a lot of the difference with NFTs that they plan to implement. Who knows? So I don't know what exactly happened, but I would personally theorize that this was just a big debacle tied into Ubisoft's attempt to implement NFTs that went badly because they realized after the fact that the ESRB would not effectively allow them to do it in the way that they planned. So now they're scrambling, trying to get the game working in a way where they can still implement NFTs, but without it being rated adults only. That's my personal theory, informed by the evidence as far as I can tell and what I've heard behind the scenes. But if you have a better theory, I would love to hear it. And I'm sure lots of you do have theories that are interesting. So let me hear them in the comment section below the like button. I will enjoy looking through those and seeing if anybody has spotted some stuff that explains all of this in a cleaner way, because I just cannot fathom how a marketing team, an executive team that has to sign off on the presentation, and the game dev team that would have to sign off on the presentation, I don't know how on earth an adults only rating gets through the cracks. Maybe if it was just the marketing team publishing the game to the Xbox store, maybe I could explain it as some stupid intern mistake where they copy and pasted the rating for some like online slot game. But the fact that the adults only rating made it into the live show as like a warning, hey, we're going to show an adults only game, and then they just deleted it and scrubbed the presentation after the fact, I find like there's only so many coincidences that you can tolerate before you've got to try to figure out what the theory is that connects them, or the hypothesis rather, that connects them and ties all of this together to explain it. There's no such thing as like 3 or 4 coincidences stacked in on top of each other with something like this. There's got to be an explanation. Hopefully we find out one day what it was, but until then, we've just got theories to go from. The point is, I think with all of this, maintain skepticism with something like Assassin's Creed Mirage, with all of these other games. Don't give these companies money until they've earned it. And please, for the love of God, do not pre-order a game until you've seen gameplay. Like, I can't believe I have to say this. We haven't seen any gameplay for Mirage. Don't buy it yet. Like, stop it. Stop it. Whack your hand. Stop it. Okay, but with that, I'm going to call it there. Thank you for watching. I love you all. Join me over on the purple platform. Links in the description box below the like button. And subscribe for new content every Monday and Friday, sometimes Wednesdays if I'm feeling productive. I love you all. I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.